Okay, hello everyone. So we have our group healing today again, and we are going to look at the dynamics between going it alone in a healthy, loving communion, love, fear, interdependence, and codependence. And these show up in families, these show up in relationship with children, and these show up also in our career. So we will see how it evolves, and we are starting right away. So let me switch. Okay. So it's beautiful how we didn't have a topic for today, but everyone that showed up resonated with this. That's the magic about constellations. It's so amazing. Okay, here we go. So I'm just, anyone wants to be choosing with me, or do you want me just to choose? Here we go. So for love and fear, I think love can be red, right? And fear, we could do
something gray.
Gray, right? Maybe this one?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay, so we have love. And we have fear. Okay. Healthy interdependence. I would say orange. Healthy interdependence. And codependence.
Dark blue.
Dark blue. Okay. Codependence, healthy interdependence. Can someone write them down for me so I don't forget?
I'm writing.
Very good. And then we have going it alone and communion. So communion pink?
Light pink.
This one? Oh, you want the light pink, or this one is okay?
The light one, unless someone else wants something.
It's fine if you feel. That was...
Yeah, that one.
Okay. So communion. Going it alone. Going it alone. This one?
Sure.
This one. This one.
Now, whatever you feel.
Okay. Going it alone. Communion. Okay. You know what? Like I think, how do you feel about like putting career, family, and like romantic relationship?
I trust you.
Because we want to be like doing it, you know, we want to see like how it shows up in those. So if this was career, family, and romantic relationship. And then we will see like if the parent, grandparent needs to be put in, we will see that later. Okay. Can you see everything? You can, right?
If the carpet is, if you go beyond the carpet, like into further closer to the camera, then we won't see anything.
Yeah, well, I will move it then. Just remind me, okay?
Sure.
I can move it then. Because right now, I want you to be able to see back there. Okay. Okay, let's get started. So our intention, would anyone like to say the intention for the group? I think that Janine and Stella, both of you had pretty good feel of this. You can both state your own.
I think mine would be open, healthy boundaries.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I want them open if they're closed. I want to know what's healthy because that's what I don't trust. And boundaries are important.
Mm-hmm.
We're not just getting rid of them. Mm-hmm. We need them. So
okay.
For me, it's open, healthy boundaries.
Okay. And Stella?
Well, for me, it's something with like receiving the help and assistance, and in a respectful way that does go with healthy boundaries. It's something about not someone taking over or trying to give it over to somebody, but actually being open to receive the willing assistance, guidance, whatever, support, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
That is there. Like, allow it, because when you're going it alone, it's also easy to like, no, I don't need help. It's always been very hard for me to ask for help. So just going there into that space of like, yes, I not only desire help, I'm going to ask for help.
Yeah.
And there's a not, make it not mean something about yourself. Being like, oh, I'm not enough to, like, if I ask for this, then it means I'm not enough.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
In some way.
Okay, so in that case, I think that I would like to add openness and also communication. So this will be actually communication and openness. So I will put them for now out here. So this is communication, blue. And openness. Open to receive. And allowing. That's a big one. Actually, being open to receive is a big one. I was one time in a huge seminar, and the leader was asking, how many of you like to help? And so, like most of the people said, me. And then he asked, like, how many of you are open to be helped? And there were maybe only like 10%. And he said, well, then in that case, if the world needs transformation, we need more people who are open to receive help than people helping. So it was kind of interesting.
Just one question. The one that you called blue, what was that?
That is communication. So that's the one that can communicate what I like, setting healthy boundaries. I call it communication. Healthy communication.
So you call that blue. So the other one, is that turquoise then? Because it looks like blue from
Oh yeah, it's turquoise, yeah.
Okay.
It's turquoise. Or teal, yeah. Turquoise, teal. And this golden, yeah. Thank you.
Awesome.
Stella, could you wrote them down, right? Could you, before she starts, just go over what each is?
Yeah, sure. So love is red. Fear is light gray. Codependence is dark blue. Healthy interdependence, orange. Communion is light pink. Going it alone, purple. Career is green. Family is blue. Romantic relationships are light pink. No, the dark pink. Openness, open to receive and allowing, is the golden, and communion is turquoise.
Thank you. I'm very much in the head right now. Something here is in the head. I think it started here, around these. Yeah, when I'm around here, the communication and the fear, I'm very much in the head, but also kind of like blocked. It's like trying to figure it out. It's very much in the head here. Yeah, I'm trying to, is it this one or is it the fear? Maybe it's the fear. Yeah, when I go to the fear, it's, oh wow, it's all in the head. Interesting. Wow. It cannot even see any of this. It's so stuck in the head and trying to push but doesn't know which direction. Oh, interesting. Very blocked here. Okay. I think I'm going here. So this was going in alone and then companion. Wow, so this does feel very much like mother having a baby right now. It's like, until now I was alone. Now with the baby, I'm never alone anymore. And it's a very sweet feeling, but also full of responsibility. So as long as they are little, feels like very sweet, a nice, like warm feeling. And I kind of want to hang on to that kind of don't want them to grow up. I don't want them to grow up. So remember that when we do this, like things will merge and then they will reorganize. So right now we said, yeah, this is alone and this is health, this is communion. But what's showing up right now is this like need to hold on to it and never let go and stay stuck in that stage of, look, I have a innocent, beautiful baby, and I don't ever want them to grow up, so that I can always hold them like this, very close to me. So that just had to be expressed. Could be some of our mother's feelings that are still like going to affect us, who we are and how we feel. Okay, and now it's calm that I expressed it. So I'm going to choose this love. Love. So when I'm standing on love, there is this I'm looking at the healthy interdependence from here. And so when I'm standing on the love, I know who I am, I know how I am contributing, and then I'm letting others to contribute in their own way. I am there's actually here is all this like allowing of what is, allowing how I look like, allowing who I was born to, allowing how the surroundings are. It's a lot of allowing and enjoying the moment, enjoying being present and enjoying that. I see the communion here, which is like absolutely beautiful, like watching communion, like people that are in communion, that's just beautiful. So they respect each other, they are loving to each other, they are respectful, they are affectionate, they are kind. It's just beautiful. When I look at the alone from here, from here it looks like the person that is alone, they're not necessarily lonely, but they are a little bit. So they also know who they are, but there was some kind of, it's like there was some kind of exchange with others where there was a misinterpretation, not loving, like interpretation that was not very loving, like it kind of like put a, it made them more cautious, it made them more, or it made them less open with what is. Somehow they put a wall. So they're not fully exchanging with others. Like they kind of like got a little hiccup, like a little oops, you know, but they stayed with the misinterpretation, which causes them now not to be openly, fully interacting like these and like these. The fear is actually part of this somehow. Let me see. How do I see fear? I see fear here a little bit, like they deal with fear. So it's especially the communion and the interdependent. They deal with fear. It's like it's part of it. And there's a slight difference how this person deals with fear. Again, there is like these people here allow it. They speak about it openly, and they allow it. They allow fear to be looked at, to be part of it. They share about it freely. Somehow this person seems like they're looking away, like they put the boundary, they don't want to deal with it. Not that they don't want to, they're aware of it, but they are putting their back to it. Hmm. The fear is mostly about the unknown or something new. It's so both these parties are very good at allowing, but it doesn't mean that they are reckless. There's always this like thinking also about the risk, right? Like they do not want to like lose this beautiful communion, for example. There's always assessing like, okay, is the risk worth it, you know? The fear is more about like adding some new elements or new discoveries and kind of like analyzing like, is the risk worth the, no, is it worth the risk? Or is it going to affect the community? And is it going to affect the interdependence, the community? But it is, they are pretty good at looking at that and speaking about it. It's like, yeah, fear is a part of like dealing with the unknown and assessing if it's worth taking the risk. Yeah, something like that. But this one is now not participating fully. It's they can still go in, but they're not fully expressing. So that's why they're not fully participating, because there's this protection. Like maybe, you know, they tried to express in the past and they got the interaction that scared them or hurt them, like wounded them. And so they don't have the trust to do it again. So when they go here, they're going just as the kind and nice people, but they are not fully expressed. They hold back. And it could be also because in some ways they were more sensitive or could predict more or could foresee more. And then the reaction by others surprised, like was maybe less sensitive, like was too like what appeared to them as too harsh, or they were misunderstood. There's definitely, it's a lot about communication here, because I think if they had better communication skills, it could have been all kind of clarified and they could have stayed in those dynamics of interdependence and communion. So it's something, definitely, the communication. Let me see what happens if I bring the communication there. The communication is overtaken by the fear. It's like the fear makes it, the fear overpowered it. So the fear overcame the communication. So the communication is lying down on the floor. And the fear became way more powerful, overpowered it, knocked it over. It's even like putting its knees on me and kind of like suffocating me. So I want actually these to look, the interdependent, and then those that are in communion, and this one, the one that is alone. I want them all to look at me, and the love as well. I want them to see that communication got overpowered by fear. There is something also about those that are in the communion and in the interdependent. They are a lot alike. And the one that is alone, like they're a little bit different. So they probably call out some things a little bit more. Is it like these here now, we're sometimes in a slight denial, like don't want to look at things, and this one is the one that calls it out, and so it's uncomfortable to them. So they are naturally like so these people here are naturally suffocating the communication a little bit, like they don't necessarily blurt out everything, even if they feel it. Maybe sometimes they do it at appropriate times or at special times, but many times they will keep it to themselves. It doesn't, but see, like when they keep it to themselves, it's different because it doesn't separate them from others. While when this one keeps things to themselves, it's separate. He or she, they are separating from others. They turn with their back to them. So this person here is someone who is more passionate about calling stuff out, no matter how uncomfortable it may be at the moment, right? And so when that happens, so these people are suffocating themselves, kind of like controlling the communication by themselves a little bit. But when this person speaks up, like without a filter at times, then somehow the energy that shows up from these will create a fear that is overpowering, and it then suffocates or eliminates the communication much stronger. So the communication is not able to stand up now. So let me see. this what I had at the beginning is showing up again, like mother and child, and kind of like holding onto this one. So it's like, okay, if I don't have those, I can cling onto this one. And I can make them, you know, like I can talk to them however I want, and they will like really understand me. Like that will be the only person that understands me. So the love goes onto the fear. So the love like looks at the fear without any judgment, with patience, just allows it completely. Oh, it's almost like a mediation, or like helping these two to reconciliate, which is the one that is alone, and the communication, like setting up proper boundaries, communicating. So it's like holding the hand of this one, and then, no, I'm holding the hand of this one and telling them first, like, look at this, like, look at the fear, look at your fears. And saying something like own your fears, like you don't have to try to hide them, you also don't have to run away from them, like fully own them. Like, so what, like you have these fears, by owning them, being aware of them and not running away or not trying to hide them, you can it will empower you to communicate in a more like powerful way, or like you will be able to stand up and communicate more powerfully. So it's like, look at your fears, love them, do not ignore them, do not turn away from them, like own them. And then when you own them and you're not ashamed of them, you're not hiding them, you can then step into a powerful communication. This is good actually. So from here, I am looking now at communion. So now it looks more like a partnership, like a communion, right? And I feel equal. I feel the fear, but I feel that I'm very loving with myself, and I am able to communicate in a way that is not it's not like harsh, like it's very calm, like I'm very contained. And very gentle also. So now I'm stepping into that, like I'm having a little bit more discernment. When do I say things? How do I say them, right? So when I was saying like suffocating the communication a little bit by looking lovingly, like by being really present, like knowing when it's okay to say things and when it's not okay to say them, or maybe not that it is not okay to say them. It's just like they need to be said at a different time, gently. So it's like I think it's like discipline, right? Like being more aware and more disciplined about the communication. Even though like inside, like I can have at times these passions that probably like brought me into trouble at times. There's like more, being more in tune, more gentle with the communion. How about the interdependence? The interdependence here, like looking at the interdependence, it's very like very, like I embrace it very naturally. So I guess like I'm open to it, and I allow it. I allow, you know, to receive, and I also give with confidence. But here is a little bit more gentle. So with the interdependent is kind of like more confidence. Here is more gentle, like there is more protection of the innocence. Okay, so I'm going to look like those didn't show up much yet. So let me see how to bring them in. I'm missing one word. I have it only in Slovak. I have to find it. It's like the interdependence. It's like my natural. It's like my birthright. Like it's, of course, you know. I'm very like confident interacting, and yeah, just like confident, and it's my birthright. But with the communion, there is this gentleness. It's like the communication will happen 100% eventually, right? Like everything will be said, but it's the way how it's said, and like looking for the appropriate moment and the appropriate way of communicating some things, or to bring out complete communication. Okay, so I have those aligned. So I have the birthright, the interdependence, birthright, I have the love, and I have the communion. Definitely. Let me see, so this is the one that is allowed. It has now the communication, it owns a sphere. By owning its sphere, that's what will give that discernment, how to speak, when to speak, how to say it. this is the being able to receive is the bridge between these two. So in a way, it's also being able to receive their sensitivities and preferences, being mindful about their preferences and about their sensitivities. So it doesn't mean that we do not tell them everything. It's really about this adjusting to their innocence or to their sensitivity, and receive them the way they are, not expecting them to be like, before there was like this expectation a little bit, like everyone has to understand me right away, so I can just blurt things out because I feel strongly about them, and because and I may be right also. It's not that I'm not right, but it's the way how I communicated it that didn't necessarily take in how do you say it? It didn't really look at their preferences and sensitivities. So it's also different than walking on eggshells, because there is also so I just want to differentiate. It's not the same as walking on eggshells, because that would be around a person that is not open to us and is not giving necessarily to us. It will be like with some entitled person, like this is a loving person and they are in communion with us, but they have their own innocence and sensitivity. And we have our own as well, but our access is through really like first looking at our fears closely and not judging them. That will give us this discernment. By understanding our own fears and sensitivities, it will give us more discernment how to communicate in a way where it's not hurtful to others. Okay, so I have that. This one is the codependence. So the codependence is here somehow as well. It's looking at the interdependence and at love and oh, okay. So this is not there. Let me see. So the interdependence is kind of suffocating to the love. It's a similar dynamic as we had with the fear overpowering communication. Codependence suffocates love. And again, like it doesn't see the communion, like it's so overpowering. So the codependence is some kind of like entitlement, you know, so it's different. So we had the interdependence where we have the confidence and the birthright, right? But this one is entitlement, like it demands it. It demands it demands things, and it suffocates love, and this is not even possible. This here is not even possible. Actually, this communion was more possible with this one, the one that is alone. It just has to develop like a little bit more, like it has to still like look at its fears and become gentler, right? But the codependence is like demanding things, and it's very like right, like it only sees its own opinions and demands as the right ones, the only true ones, and it sees it like, oh, that's the universal true, that's how love should be, and that's how marriage should be, and that's how we should talk to each other, that's how we should be with each other. It's very entitled, demanding, and commanding, and yeah, just believes like that it has some, that everyone owes them, or it has the right to be like that because that's the truth, that's the universal truth, and if it's not like that, then everyone is wrong and stupid, and yeah. So the communion is not even possible in something like that. And love gets suffocated, and then the interdependence is still there. So what happens? Okay, if I suffocate this, codependence, the interdependence is now on top of it. For some reason, this one wants to step in, so that was our romantic relationships, and it goes on top of that. So codependence, interdependence somehow merged, and then looks like codependence is good at receiving. Codependence, interdependence. No, that now that I put the receiving there, the interdependence is going away. Let me see. So I have ability to receive, codependence, romantic relationships. Interdependence is now behind as a support. It's like love and this, love and communion, love and communion, love and communion, love and communion. I think this is where love. And this one kind of like removes itself. This one. If I put communication here, what happens? If I put communication, and the communication embraces love, it will pick up the communion and go away. And it will, I don't know, so somehow it brings the communion and love to be with this one. And then what happens here is interdependence. It's more like the community. Romantic relationship. That can go here too. This codependence is just like totally confusing. So, they just want to like receive. I think like it's similar to narcissism a little bit too. Like there's this entitlement, it just wants to take. But I think now they are kind of alone here. So now this one is now going over here. The ability to receive. So here we have the one that was alone. It's owning its fear. It looks at communication. And sees communication also like an important partnership that will help them to be in romantic partnership and communion and love. And they distance themselves from the codependence. Immerse themselves in interdependence. Okay, let me see what happens here. So this is family, right? And career. Family. So family goes under interdependence. So again, like the one that was like going it alone, that one allows, it's very good allowing the family, allowing the interdependence. But it also has like better communication skills now. Owning its own fears, like it really starts first with the connection to the fear and being loving with themselves, having the fear. And kind of becoming gentler in communication with the loved ones, with the communion in the first place. But this here is like confidence of the interdependence. It's not, it's different to entitlement. Okay, that one was very entitled. This one is like, yeah, it's my birthright to have people that I am interdependent with. So there's no expectations, there's just being themselves and allowing everyone else to be themselves. And if they have like different preferences and so on, like one doesn't necessarily have to be convincing them of anything or having them or turning away from them when we disagree. We just let them be however they are. That's a healthy interdependence. Everyone can be however they are. We don't have to tell them everything here. But the one here, in this like communion and in the romantic relationship, we do let them kind of know everything, but at appropriate times and really like knowing their sensitivity and preferences. This feels very healthy to immerse yourself in this. Let me see now if career. Yeah, so career is so I'm looking at this one, which is a communion. I'm looking also at the fear. I'm looking also at the romantic relationship and at, I want to be able to interact in a very I want to say like relaxed and honest, like where the fears are also welcome, like they have their place, and good communication and adjusting the communication instead of like blurting it all out, like saying things at the appropriate times, but saying them, like not withholding anything. That feels like a very good way of being in a career as well. It just feels home too, and very loving. Like it feels very, yeah. It's that wouldn't be stressful. So now all of us are kind of like looking. All of this is integrated, and it's looking at the codependence. And they're like little dictators. They're like little 2-year-olds that are throwing tantrums. And it's really about consequences, you know, like instead of letting them have the entitlement, it's about consequences, like teaching them by consequences. So when they demand and throw tantrum and all that, like holding space for them, but not enable them to believe that that's how the reality is, right? Not let the 2-year-old intimidate you. So lovingly hold space for their tantrums, but not have them like create this universe where they're entitled to everything and they are these little dictators intimidating others. So that's how we are looking at that, and yeah, we can embrace them and help them evolve lovingly and with patience, but also with like not giving into their dictatorship. Yeah, so they do belong as well, but they have to carry the consequences of their decisions and their ways themselves. No one has to be like cleaning it up for them or making sure that they always get everything. So they belong as well. I would think that this is kind of complete, except I don't know if those of you that wanted to look at the parent-child and grandchild relationships got their intentions or questions answered through this. Could you please tell me? Did you get something?
Yes, I got a lot, thank you.
So can we leave it like this, or should we still put like, I think it feels like it would be a new constellation to put in grandparent, parent, and a child.
No, I got, speaking for myself,
Yeah.
I got, yeah.
You got it?
It's
Okay.
complete, yes.
Okay, great. Okay. I think there was someone else. Oh, I don't know if the person is there anymore. Okay. All right, so I would like to complete it here, or it almost seems like something else needs to be said. So how about we connect and let's see like what it is that I'm missing. It's like almost complete. It sounds like I need to talk to you first. So who would like to, yes.
I just wanted to ask a question about the codependence. So in the end, what actually was like, I know it was really, really needy and take. So what is the resolution there?
Yeah, let them, what I got from that is like, let them deal with the consequences. Do not clean for them. Do not enable them constantly. Let them have the consequences and deal with them themselves, because it gives them like this wrong sense of the universe turning around them. And you know, like, but we love them. We don't like completely like get rid of them, because everyone belongs. But the way we allow them to belong is by paying for the consequences of their behaviors and actions, not cleaning it up for them. And also, you know, like, okay, you want me to do something for you, then okay, you also have to contribute something, you know, kind of like, it's like teaching a 2-year-old that has tantrums lovingly, like, you know, not hurt them. See, okay, they throw the tantrum and that you still have to provide a loving environment for them, but there will be consequences. Okay, you broke your toy, so that means now you don't have another one, instead of running to the store and buy a new one, right? So how it would look with an adult is, okay, you came late for dinner, so that means you prepare it to yourself now. Dinner is over, you know, I already cleaned everything, so if you want to have dinner now, you have to prepare it yourself and you have to clean up after yourself. And that's loving, right? So does it make sense?
It does. And one way I was looking at the codependence part was within myself, wanting people to, like, basically me try to solve problems for other people, and in that having, like, you know, the best solution and being really attached to it, and noticing that I'm very like, and noticing that that's a very like needy part of me, or a very
yes,
I can notice the taking thing of like, oh my gosh, how do I turn that off, or that's not helping that relationship at all.
So that would probably like connect more to the parts when I was saying like, okay, maybe you are more sensitive, maybe you knew more, like the alone one. And so you know, there was a stage for the one that that is alone, where, you know, it's not that they were wrong, but maybe they were too overpowering, right? So it's just to look at your own fears, like start focusing on all your own fears. And then when you own them, you will be able to better communicate with more discernment and more like say things at the right times and more gently. So it's not overpowering others.
Okay.
And so there is definitely like some fears, you know, like you do it because in your best conscious, right? Like you want to help, but it's probably coming from fear when it's overpowering.
Yeah.
So if you own your own fears, then you will you will have more discernment about that.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Great. Who else would like to share something?
First, some clarification regarding the grandchildren or the grandparent. That was simply an example of the interaction between my daughter and I. So that's why it was necessary for it to be mentioned. But interesting, at the beginning, when you started talking about the woman being pregnant and holding on to the children, and I thought each of my children was long overdue when they were born. And I see that that's what my daughter and I are working through now. We're holding on to that mother-child thing because we're each trying to accommodate the other person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that was an interesting part.
Yeah, that was interesting that it kind of showed up twice, because like the ladies that that were talking about the alone part, like that didn't really go with their stuff. So
right.
showed up for you. So
yes. Many the whole thing stood up for me.
oh, wonderful. I'm glad.
So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Stella, are you ready?
Yeah, sure. I must just start by saying that this was as if the whole constellation was about my situation.
Oh, really? Oh my God.
It was like, you know, you said the words almost of someone else. It was like, you picked it all up. It was completely like, holy cow.
Huh.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah, if you want to know details, we can do that later. But it was
yes. Okay, great. Yeah, maybe you can.
So fantastic. I was when you stepped onto like the big one on going it alone. I got so tired. I was like, oh yeah, this is me, because going it alone makes you exhausted, and I could just feel all that exhaustion. I can't do that anymore. It was like, so that was, in a way, good. And I really need to like re-listen and re-watch, because I conked out practically. So that was interesting. And that happened twice, because later on you stepped onto that again. And it also happened on the career. It's like, yeah, because I've been doing my career all alone all my life. You know, I've been solopreneur since I was 16. Now I'm 58, so yeah, it's like, oh shit.
Yeah.
So that was really good. But then I had like some kind of epiphany that was like very touching for me. That was when you put the bridge. That was the receiving and allowing. So that as a bridge, and what I got was that when I can just decide that everything I do leads to the goal. I don't have to be so, I have to do this, because if I can just decide that drinking this water is gonna lead to the goal, whatever the goal is, if it's like personal or if it's now about my healing my body feet relationship or so, but really use every single little detail in my life to with that intention to lead that was very touching for me. Everything you do can actually lead towards the goal. It doesn't have to be something special. It can be drinking water. So thank you very much. It was amazing,
about that.
as always.
Yeah, awesome. Great. Thank you so much. How did you want to say more? Oh, I don't hear you. You need to unmute. Here. Oh, no, we did. Yeah.
There I am. Yeah, sorry. I was pushing all the wrong buttons.
It was your first time with us, wasn't it?
Yes, first time with you for
Awesome.
sure. Yes.
Well, welcome. Thank you.
Thank you for doing these online. Like, that's amazing.
Thank
So
you.
yeah, big
So you have
surprise.
done constellations before, right? So
I've done constellations before. Yes, that's why. Yeah, and someone invited me to the group, and I was like, really? This is amazing. Okay, like that.
How
10
cool.
a.m. Tuesdays, I have a day off. Great.
Awesome.
Yeah, I like, yeah, I got a lot. I like you've counseled me now, like, as far as like how I show up in life, and in the huge conversation about being like where I actually blow up in communication, and then people get fearful. And I'm like, how do I stop that? How do I get it so that I'm actually just able to still get my point across, and things don't add up to the point where I am now yelling, and now the person doesn't even hear me, but I've expressed myself.
Yes. So, it really comes like from our own like hidden fear still. So, and then because like we are not so aware of them, then we become like more passionate and like we have to, it's end of the world if we don't. And that will then project the fear kind of onto them too. Or they get scared like, okay, why is she so intense? Like for us, we're just doing our thing here. And they like, remember like when I was doing the interdependence, they kind of like close their eyes at times. They use denial to keep things kind of calm, so then people like you come with that you and me and Stella probably at times too. Like we come with their passion and they're like, what? And so then they hurt us back, and then we turn our back to them like, okay, so then I'm not going to contribute next time, right? But it's really we get the power. What I understood from this, we get the power by looking at our fears. Like, why am I so scared? Like, what could happen? And where did it come from? And I think that by that we become more gentle, more calm, and then we can play more with the dynamics, like find the right moment when and how we say it. So yeah, it's interesting. I just had my study group and everyone was yelling.
Oh, okay.
My homeopathic study group, everyone was so passionate. We have to do this, like everyone from their own perspective. We haven't seen each other for a long time. So every time like someone their turn, right, it has to be now, and you are not hearing me, and you don't listen, and and I was like, this is so interesting, what happened? But it was like now, like after this, I'm realizing, they were all fearful that something bad would happen to someone if it's not taken care of now in their own way, So yeah, I think that's the access. It's new to me. I didn't know. Like, look at the fear. It will make your communication more gentle and more powerful. More gentle and more powerful.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for everything today. That's great. That's amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I also zonked out probably at the same time when I don't know the girl's name, SS, but yeah.
Stella.
And my mother was here for a little bit and she like fell asleep. I was like, this is for you, Mom. And she like,
yeah, it happens a lot. It happens a lot, yes.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Yeah, even when I watch myself later, I fall asleep because it's a different perspective. It's so funny.
They're sold to work. Down.
Yeah, awesome. Great to have you, dear.
Thanks.
Okay, so Janine, did you want to share?
Yeah, sure. I think we didn't put ourselves in the constellation, I realized later.
That's all right.
And I became, maybe like everyone else, I became the one going it alone. Mm-hmm. And I saw my whole life sort of standing in opposition to ultimately, I was like at war with codependency. And I wrote these things down because I wrote down the term outlier. I thought, yeah, I have been an outlier, you know, in my family, in my career, you know, the voice in the, or have viewed myself as the voice in the wilderness, because if you saw things that were injustices or wrong, and you perceive the others as choosing comfort over truth, or to go along to get along. And so my perception was that these other people, whether it was my family or in my career, are just going along with the narcissistic, powerful, for my comfort status quo, which I saw as the codependency. So I had this whole little,
that was interesting, right?
Yeah,
codependence and narcissism, very connected.
Right, but what I realized was that you know, if, what's that phrase you say, if all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. So what I realized was, with the softening of embracing your fears and looking at the interdependence and everyone else, you know, I was like, possibly have been viewing everything as the codependent. Any relationship, you know, had the overshadowings of that narcissistic codependency that I've been battling, you know, my entire life, to include, you know, but it was a good thing to come into this world to do, because if we didn't do that, we wouldn't get rid of racism and sexism and all these other things that people were just going along with because it was status quo. So anyway, my aha was, I loved the embracing your fear, and I loved the shifting your perspective. It was so helpful to me to have codependence really set separately away from interdependence and communion, because of course we have to modulate and soften the way we approach and speak, and, you know, when we're in relationship with each other. So I think, and then the other funny thing is, as an outlier, mostly in my career, I started off at the beginning of my career being very shunned, and literally they were trying to drive me out. At the end of my career, they were actually seeking me out because I had a different perspective to the problem, sort of what you went back to, of making them accountable for their actions. And then when they saw, okay, we've got this big mess, they sought the outliers to come in and say, you seem to have a different perspective. So I actually ended my career very sought after because I had a different perspective. Anyway, the bottom line is, it was really touching to me that embracing the fear part and not projecting onto the healthy relationships, the like dealing with the 2-year-old codependent, you know, I think that's the key to me, is to see healthy relationships are not necessarily, everybody's not codependent.
Yeah.
Does that make any sense?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
So.
Very good. Yeah, it was interesting to see how you said to go along to get along. That's the interdependence. That was a new discovery for me. Like, oh yeah, it's part of it. So.
And it can be a part of a healthy relationship.
Yeah.
The thing for me is, the challenge for me at this point is, again, that if all you're holding is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. So if you've been at war with codependency for so long, you're going to project codependency on even the natural healthy relationships, which sort of need that ebb and flow. So that's something to learn.
Beautiful.
So yeah.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Roxanne, are you going to chime in? Not sure if she is.
Well,
Yes.
I kind of zoned out too, so
Okay.
I don't think I have a lot to contribute, but I was there.
Okay. All right. Yeah, good. Yeah. So it's awesome that you participated. Like everyone participates in their own way, and I wonder if you watch it later, what shows up for you. So
Yes.
good. Well, thank you for contributing with your presence.
Thank you.
Thank you, dear. All right. So we are like faster today. Do you guys want me to teach you a technique?
Of course.
You can all apply it. Would you like me to teach you really quick?
Could
Yes.
I'd love to.
Yeah.
Could I
Okay.
just ask one question? Is the
Yes.
are these videos available on the Facebook page? Is that where you post
Yes.
them?
Yes.
Okay.
I post them on the Facebook. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks.
Yeah. Okay. So let me finish this recording and then let's just do something for fun. Okay.